Guys, Hysilens got me weak. Hysilens is going to be the newest 5-star Nihility unit, and let me say, after 2000 years of no Nihility units, we finally got a new unit for the Forgotten Path. DoT is back, baby. She has amazing potential to be one of the best DoT units released to date, but we'll see at later versions for that statement to hold up. I'll be showing you her kit in this video, the best relics to use for her, the best light cones, the best teams, and much more that you will need to make the perfect Hysilens and have the good opinion if you should pull her or not. This is the Hysilens guide. Before we go further though, with all the great characters and of course the Fade collab coming to Storiel, you can barely afford to get even half of the characters you want. Luckily for you, Loot Bar is here to help you out. Loot Bar offers you 25% cheaper top-ups for both Genshin and Honkai Storiel, with a bunch of big YouTubers already using it as well, like Raiden Shogun or Maker-on-Z. And if you'd like an example on how much you save by using Loot Bar, here's a comparison with the Storiel shop. You can save 21 euros just by going to Loot Bar and using my link down below. And of course, let me buy something to show you. Let's get the 3280 pack for 39 euros instead of the 60 from the shop, and all I have to do is put in my UID and the server my account is in, and of course you're gonna click top up now, continue to purchase, select how you want to pay, and click pay now. After 3 to 5 minutes you will be getting your rewards, and I would like to mention that the top up bonus is also active for Loot Bar. Again, make sure to use my link down below to save an additional 10% for your first purchase, and for newcomers to Loot Bar you will get lots more coupons to use on your first visit and purchase. Before we go and analyze the big kit like the ultimate and the skill and whatnot, I like to go over the traces to get a much better look at the character you want to pull. So let's take a look at the 3 traces that Hysilens has to offer. For trace 1, she activates her ultimate zone for 3 turns, and when she does so, a skill point will be restored for the team to use. You'll understand, and I will explain what the zone does later on, but for now let's just keep going through the traces. For trace 2, when Hysilens ults, the enemies hit by the ult will have all of their currently applied DOTs trigger, dealing 150% of the original DOT damage to the enemies hit by the ultimate. Again, not much to explain here, I think it's simple enough, but to give you an example, if you deal 50,000 damage with all of the DOTs combined, with all of the DOTs the enemy has applied to them combined, with Hysilens ulting and hitting them, they will instead be taking 75,000 damage, so ideally you trigger those with Hysilens. And for the last trace, every additional 10% above 60% will increase her damage by 15%, up to a maximum of 90% damage bonus. If you are curious, the max effect hit rate you will need to get the most damage output is 120%, so you have quite the nice goal to reach for Hysilens. In summary, she gets a free ultimate every battle and recovers a skill point every time she uses it. You should activate the DOTs through the ultimate because you do more damage, and you will need 120% effect hit rate to make her the strongest possible unit on the field. I actually have nothing much to say. Quite the solid unit, honestly. For the kit, we don't have much to go into detail for, so I'll go relatively quickly over it. For the skill, it has a 100% base chance to increase the damage taken, which will last for 3 turns on the enemies, and it will deal some AoE damage to all of the enemies on the field. Honestly, very simple and effective kit for now. You're gonna see it gets a little worse much later on. Going to the ultimate, Hysilens deploys a zone that reduces the enemy's attack by 15% and defense by 25%, while also dealing some damage. Now here's the tricky and amazing part about this zone. If any enemy takes DOT damage while in this zone, Hysilens will deal a physical DOT, scaling with 80% of her attack to the enemy hit. Physical DOT means bleed, by the way. The DOT can trigger this effect repeatedly, meaning you need other DOTs to trigger even more physical dots from Hysilens, which for example Kafka will benefit massively from, because Kafka can actually pop every single type of DOT that you have on the enemy due to her skill doing just that. So you can kind of see how Kafka comes into play. And of course, this zone will be lasting 3 turns in total, which will decrease by 1 each time Hysilens takes a turn, and the zone can also just disappear if Hysilens dies. So make sure to not get her killed. For the talent now, we have quite the talent honestly. If any ally attacks an enemy, there is a 100% base chance for Hysilens to inflict wind shear, bleed, burn, or the shock DOT on the enemy hit, prioritizing inflicting the different ones first. If, for example, the enemy has every single DOT except burn, then Hysilens will apply burn and will start then applying other DOTs. And now here's why the talent is so good. Under the wind shear, burn, or the shock DOT, each enemy turn they will be taking wind, fire, or lightning DOT damage equal to 25% of Hysilens' attack for 2 straight turns. Nothing big, nothing much. I mean, it is big, but nothing much compared to what I'm about to tell you. On the other hand here, under the bleed effect, each enemy turn they will take a physical dot that equals 20% of their max HP up to 25% of Hysilens' attack, which again lasts for 2 turns. This specific bleed is going to make your bosses actually take so much more damage, so you have a ton of value investing into the talent first, because it destroys all of your bosses and it also helps you focus more on the smaller enemies as well, because the bosses will kind of take most of that damage, so you can have some free way to kill the smaller enemies as well. And lastly, the most anticlimactic of them all, the technique. It is very basic. It puts the enemies under the soul struck state with an orb that Hysilens throws out, and once you enter battle while the enemy is mesmerized under soul struck, you will have a 100% base chance to inflict 2 of Hysilens' special DOTs. And of course, I'm sure you know by now with all of the domain techniques, this does count as a domain as well, so this can only exist on its own. No other domain can exist at the same time. Now, hearing all of this like kit stuff, I'm sure you are curious what you should be leveling up, what you should be prioritizing to make the most out of your Hysilens as fast as possible. Luckily for you, we have the There isn't much to cover here again. Her whole kit is fantastic and should be leveled fully, but if I had to give you a priority of it, I'd go with this one. The talent, ultimate, and then the skill. Talent includes the unique DOTs, so that is a must, with the ultimate following as a second due to providing you with the zone, and of course the skill last for the vulnerability it provides. The skill isn't bad because the vulnerability is bad or it just provides bad buffs, it's just that the talent and ultimate are so much better than 20% vulnerability. So don't take it to heart. Guys, listen, Hysilens is a simple girl, okay? She likes her hairpins, her earrings, and of course her thigh. 2-piece Pioneer with a 2-piece attack is probably going to be one of the best relics for her so far, because it does give her extra damage towards debuffed enemies, and of course some attack from the other 2-piece. If you want her speed to be above 134 or you need to reach 134, I recommend you replace the attack percent with the speed percent instead, because having at least 134 will make your life so much easier. For other options you can use, obviously you have Musketeer 4-piece for the speed and attack increase, but if you are more focused on playing her outside of DOT teams, 4-piece Band can actually be pretty useful due to the attack increase when you skill. If you hate Band or for some reason you have this farmed and you can tank a bunch of damage, you can 100% go with the Champion 4-piece because it gives you some physical damage bonus and a max 25% attack increase at full stacks. This will require you to take some time in the battle and suffer a few hits, but I'm sure you can do it. You are brave enough if you pick Champion anyway. Lastly, for the relics, I'd give you Prisoner 4-piece as well. It's actually quite a good relic piece for her since the enemy will almost always have 3 DOTs on at all times. Plus, you will gain some attack from the 2-piece as well. As for the planners, we have a much simpler thing to say due to her having a best in slot, or basically a signature planner set. Reverly by the Sea increases your attack, and if your attack is above the number 2400 or the number 3600, your dot damage will increase by 12% or 24% respectively. This sounds crazy, and it is, because this gives you another little goal of 3600 attack during the battle, or if you can get some style points and you like those, you can get 3600 even before the battle. It's very difficult, but it is possible. If you are crazy enough not to invest into farming this one, 1, Pan Galactic can work amazing as well because you gain effect hit rate, which increases your attack, which also scales with effect hit rate. And since we know we need 120% effect hit rate for her to reach the max buffs, you can see where you will gain a bunch of attack due to you having aligned goals with your build. I'm not going to give you a list here. Galactic is going to be number 2 and Revelry is going to be number 1. Light cones, I have to say, while researching, I found very positive news for F2P and pay-to-win players alike. But before we get into that, let's take a look at Why Does the Ocean Sing, her signature light cone, to see what you can get if you got money or basically luck. Ideally, you get both. It increases your effect hit rate by 40%, and with each basic skill or ultimate, from Hysilens of course, you get an 80% base chance to inflict a debuff called Enthrallment. Here's what Enthrallment means. And this debuff will last for 3 turns. While the enemy is in Enthrallment, each debuff applied by Hysilens will increase the DoT damage taken by 5%, which stacks up to 6 times, meaning a 30% DoT damage taken increase at max stacks. If any ally attacks the enemy with the light cone debuff, they will also gain a 10% speed boost for 3 entire turns, because we have to make this light cone as good as possible because it costs money. This is quite the light cone, and if you like and want a strong DoT unit both as a DPS and support, I'd recommend this one strongly over everything else. It increases her value by tenfold and it's just really good. If you like your money, however, and do not want to invest too much into her, Eyes of the Prey is going to be her second best light cone because it just speaks for itself if you look very closely. Before the tutorial starts is another awesome choice because defense shredded enemies give her more energy, aka she ults faster, aka the enemies are def shredded more, aka if you actually want a 100% free to play light cone, by the way, its showtime can actually work, giving you a bunch of attack if you have 80 or more effect hit rate, as well as a damage increase for each debuff inflicted on the enemy by Hysilens. And lastly, for light cones, I wouldn't really recommend solitary healing. It is very difficult to keep up its buff, and I believe you have much better free to play options, or if you have money, you have quite the extremely better pay to win options. Well, this part is usually pretty big and plentiful with characters, but teams and teammates are actually very straightforward because any DoT unit will do. Your Kafka and Black Swan will notice the biggest buff by having Hysilens on the team, and Black Swan especially will notice a massive damage increase due to Hysilens triggering multiple DOTs, making Black Swan trigger her Arcana better and more times. For some other units that can be used, as you'll see in the team comps, are Gwynaifen and Sampo, as well as Jiao Cho, due to them being pretty decent DoT units in general. Now for some teams to expect, here are the very basic ones. The Black Swan special, I call this one, with Hysilens and Black Swan together, alongside anyone you like. I put Gwei here. You can get a Harmony unit to join in her stead, but I just put Gwynaifen because I like Gwynaifen. Hysilens will make great use of Black Swan's Arcana, as I said before, so this duo I'm imagining will rock the DOT scene for quite a while. Similarly to the previous team, Jiao Cho can replace the Harmony spot to maximize your ult damage and apply more dots, but I wouldn't really recommend this one. It is doable and good, but I think putting Ron May, for example, or getting yourself a Robin will do you much better. The classic Kafka team also works here. Kafka, Hysilens, Black Swan, and Huoho being the best is probably the best team in general by now. If you haven't noticed, it's just going to be pure DoT chaos on this team. And of course, lastly, if you want to be very quirky, you can use this template, which is for non-DOT teams. Hysilens can basically provide a Harmony role for your non-DOT team like Tribi, but obviously nowhere near that degree of buffs. She's a little mini Tribi version. Not the best, not the worst, just someone you can put on your team. We'll be going over to the Eidolons now. Quickly going over the Eidolons again, since let's be real, the people that will be pulling for her are not going to be looking after E0 or E1 or E2. They only care about the E6. For the E1, while Hysilens is on field, the dot damage dealt by allies becomes 124% of the original value. What this means is that Kafka on her own, if she deals 100 damage for example, if E1 Hysilen is on the field and is present, Kafka will deal 124 damage instead of her original 100. You can see how this can stack up multiple times over multiple attacks. E2 transfers the Trace 3 effect, this one, to all of the allies on the field while the zone is active. This, in my opinion, is going to be the perfect stopping point for her. She becomes an incredible supporting teammate and can completely replace a Harmony unit's role to add another DoT to your team to get even more damage out of a team from Hysilen. Her very basic E4 reduces the all-type respawn of all allies while the zone is active, and for the E6, Hysilen can now apply a second dot from her talent, effectively applying two identical DoTs that can tick at the same time. To re-explain, basically every time you trigger a DoT, you can additionally trigger an identical DoT or another DoT, I believe, and these will tick separately at the same time. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have a bleed, you can inflict another bleed on the enemy, and you now have two separate bleeds on one unit that will stack differently but will tick at the same time. She can basically double DoT inflict. As for the other thing on her E6, while the zone is active, the bleed DoT effect that triggers passively from enemies taking dot damage can now stack up to 12 times instead of 8, boosting the overall damage potential by quite a lot. My opinion on the Eidolons: if you have money to spend on E6, it is insane. It doubles your dots on the field, and Kafka will go absolutely crazy over that 100%, as well as Black Swan. Realistically though, E1 is going to be a fantastic choice if you go for it, and E2 is the perfect stopping point, making her a dual role unit of a support and a sub-DPS/DPS. So if you have money, E6, if not, E1 is fine, E2 is perfect. Overall, I am hyped for Hysilens, since it will bring and revive an old meta at this point. Overall, I am hyped for Hysilen to come to the game, because it will bring, revive, and kind of reanimate an old meta that at this point we've been in an era of DPSs that refuse to deal any type of DoT. I'm glad they're bringing this back. It's going to be something kind of fresh for the game because it's been such a long time. I recommend you pull for her if you play any DoT teams already, if you own Black Swan, Kafka, any of those units, but other than that, I would give a solid pass for everyone else. You don't really need her. I would recommend you spend your pulls on a much better unit that will suit your account, but if you like Hysilens that much and you don't really care if she's dot or not, then make sure to pull for her as well. Having fun is what this game is made for. Thank you for watching this Hysilens guide. Next week I'm coming out with a Cerebra guide, the Farina of Honkai Star Rail, so subscribe to stay tuned for that, and of course more guides in general. Have a great day, evening or night, and I will be seeing you later.